Hello and welcome to Plate Stack Chat. I apologize, we're a little bit late and hopefully you can all hear me okay, but I did have some technical difficulties, but here we are. If you are new here, my name is Jason or Jason CF Media on Instagram. And on this show, I like to bring out some interesting guests for a chat. And today I have two first-time guests coming on for a very interesting discussion. Now, before we welcome them to the show, a quick thank you to Strivey, our wonderful sponsor. And if you're in the fitness game and you're looking for a sleek app that can help you share your programming, then check out what Strivey has to offer you. Now, if you've brushed past me in the last couple of months, you will know that we are deep into the Grid League season. But we don't want to talk about the 2025 season because we are looking ahead to 2026. Yes, 2026 will see a new team join the grid, the New York Wolves. So joining us today, we have the owner of the Wolves. She is an athlete, a coach, and the host of Back on Track. Please welcome Jenn Powers.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on, and thank you for being so patient and waiting as I tried to sort out my computer. Of course, Jenn is not alone. Joining her, we have the Wolves Director of Athlete Development. He is also the co-founder of Fight for the Fittest. It is Sam Krivit.
How's it going?
Well, Sam, you know it's not going well.
Yeah,
you know that.
You're sweating a little bit. It's okay.
You've seen me panic, which I don't like. But yes, hopefully the stream will be fine and everyone can hear us and see us, and it'll all be good from now on. Corey's already jumping in with his thoughts on the team. He likes the NYPD style crest. So there you go. So I mean, you're already winning. The team's not even formed yet. It's not even.
We were just talking about that, like literally just talking about that 2 minutes ago. So it's funny.
Yeah. Well, I would have loved to have heard that. Unfortunately, every time I tried to log in, I got kicked out. Very good. So welcome to the show. I've got questions. Obviously, I've got questions. I guess before we get to talking about the Wolves, Jenn, I've seen you at, not in person, on the live stream. I've seen you at grid events so far this year. I don't know if Sam has been there as well, sort of spying in the background. Are you enjoying the 2025 Grid League season so far?
Yes. I mean, I really am on many levels. Number one, I know Grid for, many years. I've helped out in the back end. So now just learning all different intricacies of the grid, in addition to just always experiencing that grid environment. It's very hard to describe until you feel it. I can't wait for Sam to experience that as well.
Are you yet to experience it then, Sam?
Yeah. Not live yet. Yeah.
So we're in the same boat. That's nice. A kindred spirit. I appreciate that. I mean, I've got questions for that. So you're not live, but have you been watching it on the streams? I would assume.
In the past 3 weeks have probably watched 40 old matches.
Yeah. Got like a deep dive.
Some of them a couple of times. Yeah, it's been a pretty deep dive. So I have a feeling it's going to hit differently in person.
Yeah. Well, I was curious then if and obviously, Jenn, you're there, and it's easy to get swept up in the excitement of the matches and the races, and especially with certain teams that have maybe a bit of history with each other, or this race really matters. That being said, I know when I watch it, I feel like I watch it with a slightly different eye to maybe people that are just there spectating, because I'm also trying to think of kind of, how does this fit into this, and what's the bigger picture behind these different races, so I can talk about it. Are you watching it this season with a different eye now that you know that you've got a team coming? And if so, kind of what are the things you're focusing on, thinking that's an interesting little piece I need to kind of take away and meditate upon for our team?
That's a good question, because it's one of the things that I noticed, that is communication is probably one of the most important things between coach, athlete, and seeing it live right there. You have to be there and to be able to assist that, that athlete, where they're positioning of, where they're running to. And then it's just so fast, such fast dynamic of movements, and, you have to be on your game. So that's one of the things I'm really appreciative in looking at it differently, in the sense of, running it. Obviously, the administration end of it is all brand new, but really close in alignment with my mission at Wolf Back on Track. So we cohesively are running this together, and the teams, both teams that I've been around in administration, from staff to people putting this together, is just incredible. And that's another part of the grid experience of community that you have to experience.
Yeah, I think, and it'll be interesting for Sam to experience this, because obviously, Sam, you've got your event, Fight for the Fittest. So you're very used to having athletes and coaches probably together and encouraging one another. And I know, even speaking with, I was speaking with like Emma McQuaid, and we were talking about like what does her coach actually do for her at the games? And it's like, well, carry my bags. That's about all they can do. When you're at the highest level of competition, there's very little they can actually do to influence the competition.
Right.
Not so.
And this is going to be very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I spent,
so active.
Yeah, I spent like the first 5 matches watching just to see what the entertainment value was, what it looked like, what it watched. I didn't take any notes. I just watched as a consumer. And then I watched as someone who's scouting, who's trying to learn the sport, who's trying to um, figure out the design, and it's heavily, heavily coach weighted. I think that's extremely important, opposed to truly at these events, or in CrossFit in general, non-grid events, the coach is responsible big time before the event, training them, getting them prepared for the event, giving them programming, giving them nutrition. And then you get to the event, it's like, all right, just help them deal with their emotions throughout the weekend. Hold their bag, get them a cookie, get them some gummy bears. But at the grid events, the coaches' values cannot be or understated, because they are running the show, fast, quick decisions, game planning. It is the true sense of a coach when you think about a professional team sport. They're in charge. I mean, I think you go as your coach goes.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see that kind of coach team relationship across the different teams, through good times, through bad times, how they deal with disappointment, how they deal with success. So it is it's a different relationship to a kind of one-on-one, this is my coach, he looks after me all through the year kind of thing. So that's nice. I guess the big question, I would assume the big question is, why start this team? What was the motivation to be like, what, New York needs a team in the Grid League, and we're the ones to do it?
That's a really good question. It was a result of community. Grid 6, which is another all level competition, and I had sponsored 2 teams, and the feeling of that experience on a small level, and seeing those athletes turn around like, this is amazing. And then we were the champions. We had 2 teams. One of the 2 was champions. So to me, there was just an incredible amazing experience. And they said, you should do this. And I thought about it, and I really weighed that out. And it was a quick decision, but it was a weighed out decision. And I said, yeah, this is exactly who I am. It really resembles myself, as well as, when I go in on something, and I'm out in New York, I'm sure you can tell by my, by my accent. And I said, absolutely. And I knew right away who I wanted to ask, and that was, Sam. And once I made that decision, I've known Sam now, it was over a year. We've been through Fight for the Fittest events, and watching him also too. I know a lot of ecosystems that run events, and it always amazes me to have that poise and that organization and that grit, and also be within that community, and you help cultivate that. I admire that about them. It's everyone who my whole world has been the past 18 months, of some amazing people that all strive for the same thing. Oh, look at that. Let's strive. We all try for this, that same end goal, and just trying to help others. That's really why.
Yeah. I suppose like running an event is more like coaching a team than the coaches at those events, right? Because they're the ones that are having to jump in and problem solve, and something's gone on in this lane, or something's happening with the equipment over here. All right, we've got this team, who's in place, let's move these people there. So yeah, I mean, if he can do that, he can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think team, right? I think what's happened with Fight for the Fittest is I built a community up here in the Northeast. I think that the Northeast is pretty much an underserved area when it comes to competitions. I can name a handful of really excellent ones. Um, but if you go down to like North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Texas, California, there's ones every single weekend. And we're not for a shortage of competitors up here. We have a rich, excuse me, talented group of athletes up here that I have built this community with. And it just kind of lined up perfectly that now, I've been bringing them this competition. Now I have another avenue to compete that I can bring them to and really represent the Northeast up here, New York and the Northeast.
Yeah. So I kind of like the idea as well that you've got a competition that you run that is such a convenient sort of scouting opportunity for athletes. Like, I
I,
remember a
I mean,
couple of
I've been
interesting people that
watching
ran through.
athletes move. I've been watching, I program, I watch athletes move. I'm very critical when it comes to judging, holding standards. Um, I always have the feeling that better quality moves better, moves faster. Um, and so when she asked me, I had, 10 names in my head right away. And after a week, I have a long list of people that are very interested in trying out for this team. Uh, so it's paired up pretty nicely, and I think it's a big deal for the league. New York is the biggest sports market there is. Like I don't care what team you follow, the New York teams are the biggest teams sports market wise, and it should be the same for the Grid League. And what we can bring um, to these competitions is going to be, I think, huge for years to come.
I mean, I love that. I love the 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 kind of swagger there of like, look, New York,
I mean,
we
it
do
is New
everything,
York, so
we
yeah,
do
yeah.
everything bigger and better. So if we're joining Grid, guess who's going to be the bigger team, the bigger market? It's us. Yeah, we've not started yet, but don't worry about it, guys. 2026. Pre-order your shirts now. Um,
It's
okay,
visualization. You have to visualize. It's all part of
yeah.
it. You have to visualize success to go for it. If I wouldn't have lost 170 pounds if I didn't have that visualization of saying I can maybe be happy one day. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
live an athletic life. When you do, you just don't know. You got to have that hope.
I mean, I'll be honest, Jen. I wasn't familiar with you pre-Grid. I'm not a New Yorker, so it's understandable. But I saw the pictures, the transformation pictures. I was like, okay, like when this woman wants to do something, she will do it. So this
Hmm.
team's gonna
Yeah.
be interesting. Just backing it up a second before you had like the 10 names of people that you were like, yeah, I've already got some good athletes. When Jen first approached you to say, hey, I'm starting a Grid team. This is like, I've got this idea to start a Grid team. I want you to be involved. What was your initial kind of reaction to that? What's
I
Grid?
mean, Jen, what was my initial reaction to that?
Oh, it was pretty good. It was like I'm in.
I'm in. I mean, I think that's verbatim what I said. She called
Exactly.
me. She said this great news. I said I'm in, whatever capacity it is. And I didn't know what she truly had in mind when she asked. But I knew one way or the other. If it had to do with New York, if it had to do with the Northeast, if it had to do with helping her, I was in. And then I found out that I was like really fucking in this thing. Excuse my language. Um,
I mean,
I realized.
I love the statement. If it was to do with New York, I was in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm born and raised here. This is my home, um, and I feel strongly about it, and I feel strongly about what the athletes here can do,
So
and showing them.
now you don't have to answer this, but speaking about kind of clearly you have a passion for New York, and you've mentioned kind of athletes here are underserved with not having maybe enough competitions that they can attend, and you've talked now just you said these athletes are incredible. When we look across the league, we see teams that get to train together a lot. We see teams that have athletes that are all over, not just all over America, but even different parts of the world as well. And
Hmm.
quite often we're here kind of, they haven't actually had a chance to, train in person together, much in the lead up. With this New York team, are you striving for a true kind of New York team, as in our athletes are here, they live here, they're based here, they're training here, and we're going to take New York to the Grid? Or is it, New York is kind of the base, and we'll get people, they'll come in and do stuff here, but maybe, we're recruiting from a kind of, global market?
I would say a little bit of both. I would say more the latter. I would say that a majority of our athletes will be from the Northeast. And I think that
Right.
to include, our neighboring states is super important.
Yeah.
New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, Maine. And listen, we're not going to close our doors to anyone. We're going to take a look at everyone who wants to compete, and we're going to choose the best team. And that's not just based off of location or stats or weight lifts. There's multiple factors, character-wise, that's going to go into placing a team. But we want a team that's going to practice together, that's going to be together, that's going to be, one cohesive family unit.
Yeah. Okay. I suppose as long as they can all kind of do an accent, that'll be fine, right? If they can put on a New York accent, at least when they're all together, that's like they'll pass the test. We'll
As
let them
long as
in.
they like bagels and our water, they'll be fine. And pizza, they'll be fine.
Oh, come on. They all love bagels and pizza. There's no doubt about that.
I promise you,
And
you've never had bagels and pizza like New York. So
well, when you invite me over to try out and fail, then I'll have
fair enough.
some bagels to cheer me up at the end. So I kind of I'm intrigued to know where. Well, it's kind of twofold. So in my time following Grid, which has been a few years now, so I'm not OG, but also I live in the UK, so you gotta cut me some slack with that, right? But I've been following it for a few years, and like in those years, we've seen teams change, we've seen teams completely reformat. This season alone, we have the Bandits that are a new team that we didn't have last season. We've got the Lions, are an amalgamation of the Aces and the Lions. So we sort of have seen different teams form in different ways. And I kind of, if I remember correctly, we like heard about the Bandits at the end of last season. So sort of as the season was wrapping up, we heard, oh, there's this, team coming. This time we're hearing well in advance that there is a new team coming next season. And, and it's not even just an Instagram post that tells us that. As I've said, Jennifer, you are there front and center at these events. You're talking about what's coming. And then there is all the social media stuff that is really kind of highlighting what's to come. I'm kind of curious as to the approach when it comes to building a team for you, because when you kind of cast your eyes across the Grid in general, you see different ways teams have structured themselves, different problems they've had, different successes people have had, what seems to be really working for certain, what's not working. Have you got a sort of strategy in mind on our team? And I just cut out, I think, but hopefully you heard that.
You did. I think I got the last part. If there's any strategy to building this team, is that how I understood it?
Yeah, that was basically it. It was a really nice, eloquently put question that
we heard 99% of it. You're good.
Got cut out by the computer.
I want to make sure it was right because I did. Yeah, I mean, the first and foremost I started touching on before is noticing that coaching of how important that really was. That I didn't think that was in the wheelhouse until I did that Grid 6. So that was number one, was coaching, and then getting the awareness out there, and obviously learning along the course of me building my environment, learning about social media and getting awareness out there was the most important part. But for me, for Sam, right away, why I asked him already is that talent of, seeing somebody that perhaps is a rookie and say, you know what, I like that. That keen eye I don't have. And so I know I wanted to build myself with a successful team. And that's what I did. And I'm really appreciative of Sam coming on in, because what he contributes already is just mind blowing.
Yeah, I think she's being a little modest there. Okay, so Jen's like intense, all right? And I mean that as a compliment, right?
I know.
Okay, but when she has a vision, that's it. Like I've seen her work before. It's like you watch and you're like, come on, and then you're like, oh my god, and then each time you're like, holy crap, this is like, this is happens and it's real and it's intense. And I mean that in a compliment. So this is being done with full steam ahead. Like she's not waiting until the season's over to get going. As soon as the paper's signed, it's like full steam ahead. And honestly, personally, I'd have it no other way. Like, why wait? Let's go. We are at a very unique situation for the grid league. I've tried to follow the history, and I've spoken to coaches and owners, and I've talked about how these teams are formed, and they've kind of like sister teamed off, and they've kind of split off, and they're coach owned or athlete owned, and there's kind of this cross web between all of that. We're not that. You know, Jen is not a grid league player. She didn't play in the grid league. She's an owner, and she's treating it as her baby. I have almost no experience in the grid league at all. Um, we are two rookies in the truest sense of the form, and that's why finding an experience, a coach that has experience with grid league was super important for us. We have a unique situation here, and we're going to do it differently. So we're not going to wait to build our team. We're starting now.
Mhm.
Have you got players already kind of not necessarily, I mean, I'm not going to say signed, maybe signed, but like, have you already got people that are like, yeah, you've approached or they've approached you or you've had the discussion and it is kind of almost, locked in already?
We have players that have expressed deep interest, and there is no, there is a signing period in the league, and we're going to respect that. We were not signing any players until that starts and we get permission to do so. But we have had a lot of players reach out. We have a couple steps that we have in place. First, I'm going to share some of it because why the hell not? First is locking in our coach, and I can share about that in a second. And then we're going to have a combine in July, going into August. This is going to be in person at a few gyms in the Northeast and online where you can submit your tests. You can submit your scores. You can submit your application, and we're going to start picking teams and rookies right away. And then we're going to hit the free agency period once it starts. Once we have access, because we don't have access to sign players that are playing right now. Obviously, there is a re-signing period, so we have to wait until that's over till we can approach active players. So by waiting, we'd be way behind it, and I'm not. That's not how we do things at the Wolves, right?
That's correct.
And if you want, we could circle back to the coaching.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jen,
I guess.
Am I allowed to tell them, Jen, or no?
Yes, please do.
You want to tell them? You tell them. You got it.
No, I want you to tell them.
All right. So there is. We have a coach.
Right.
As of last night.
Oh wow.
And her name is Lexi Wolford. She played 2 years as a utility player for the Atlanta Wild. She lives in Georgia. She lived in New York for 8 years. She competed at actually one of my first ever competitions. And it's someone I've actually kept in touch with. And as we went through the interview process, each time I spoke with her and each time we interviewed, she went from a prospect or someone that we were looking at and interested in to someone we were overwhelmed by. Her knowledge, her love for the sport. So she comes on our team today, and she is, another rookie coach. So we're just going to keep the theme of rookie owner, rookie GM, rookie coach going. A lot of rookie players, but she is hungry, man. She is super hungry. She was on that championship team. She knows how it works. She has worked under Dan Jackson for a couple years, and I'm super excited what she's going to bring to the Wolves.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Working under Dan is if you
That's
want a
it.
coach who knows numbers, who knows stats, who knows kind of the minute details that can influence a race. He's a great mentor to have.
He's been awesome. Like I reached out to him, and he has been super cool.
Yeah. Grid League is here. They have expressed their feelings of joy over this.
Let's go.
That's great. She's also, she's ticked the New York box, which is, I realize, very important. As somebody who, I said earlier, I watch Grid with a different eye, right? I'm a I'm a storyteller at heart. Like, I'm looking for the stories. I mean, everybody loves kind of a rookie team. I mean, a rookie team that comes in and puts up a really good fight is always a compelling story. So that's interesting. I mean, keeping the rookie theme is exciting. I guess one of the nice things as well is, obviously, yes, you're right. There's the signing period. There's a lot of things that kind of tie your hands to a degree at the moment. But at the same time, you've got this really unique period of time, right, where you can be talking to athletes, and out of season, you've got to be like, okay, well, yeah, go on YouTube. You can watch some of the old videos. You can see this and that. But the season's in full swing. You can be talking to people and going, right, it's going to be happening. Oh, maybe you're near enough to get to an event. Maybe you want to pop by and see one, or at least you can watch it live. You can see like what's going on and kind of the tension, how people are feeling in the moment, which is a kind of a nice way to show it to people, as opposed to being like, yeah, okay, here's the thing. I hope do you know about it? Yeah, kind of know about it. All right, well, go do some research. It's like, no, it's happening here.
Yeah.
Go down with Jenn and watch a match.
Yeah.
The special Wolves booth that you've got for. Nice. That's exciting then. Wow, so that's new. So she signed up with you guys yesterday, you said.
I mean, this is breaking. It's like you
This
were
is
broken
breaking
story, Jason.
news,
Like
right?
breaking
Here we go.
news. Jason, CF Media finds out who's coaching the New York Wolves. That says,
it is convenient. It's always tricky making the clips for these shows. So when you just give me a real easy one to be like, here's the clip, guys. That's
a home run. That's a home run,
right,
man.
Well, it's been lovely chatting. Let's go. Let's end it now. Are there any lessons you've picked up from looking at the current teams when it comes to, I guess the nature of grid being such a team sport, that it is not just get the best athletes and stick them together and you have a successful team. No doubt you'll have observed watching other teams how important it is that people click and gel together and can leave the ego at the door when maybe they think they are the fastest at doing something, and you're like, well, actually, we want this person to do it because we've got certain reasons why we think this person should do that part of the race. And there's it can be very easy to have friction and I know I say leave the ego at the door, but all athletes have they have to have a degree of ego. That's what drives them to be good athletes, right? So
I want our athletes to think that they're the best.
Yeah.
Like I want them to think that they give us the best chance to win, because then they will. But Lexi, she feels very passionately about this, about building a team that is cohesive, that is for the team. And there's got to be more than just the eye out there. Like that's what I'm getting about this. And I've done team competitions. I've seen team competitions. This is different. This is different than the typical team CrossFit competition. This is a true team, a true roster, in that way. And the strategy of it's very important. I've seen teams heavy load, their athletes and make certain athletes do a lot of things. And I've seen that backfire. I've seen it work. I see how deep teams are successful when they use them properly. I think the way we're going to try to build this team is to find a lot of players that can do a lot of different things, versatile, prototypical CrossFitters, and then we pick our specialists from there. But we're going to ask a lot of our athletes this first year. We're going to ask them to do a lot of different things, to get out of their comfort zone. And I think they're going to be for it. I think they're going to be all for it. Lexi is going to be pushing that team atmosphere. She understands how important that is.
Have you got a strategy for recruiting the specialists? Because I assume, utility players, for all intensive purposes, are CrossFit athletes, right? To a degree, they're good with doing, some quite high skilled gymnastics, body weight movements. They're usually pretty strong, and some will lean more one way and some will lean more the other way. But that's sort of your utility player. But then you look at what some of the bodyweight specialists are doing, and they are true specialist, and then you get some of the kind of more strongman style events. I don't know what connections you have in general beyond, you know, the events that you do and the coaching and the gyms that, but have you got a method of like, okay, this is how we can attract those specialists, or, you know, I'm curious kind of where you find them beyond
Yeah, I
on
think the
Instagram.
specialist is kind of a specific search. You know, I know people
Yeah.
in the strongman. I know people with backgrounds in gymnastics, D1 gymnasts, and so there is avenues there to approach people. What I find interesting about the super hyper specialist is, you know, maybe that's all they can kind of do. You know, this is their specialty. Um, you know, so I've spoken to CrossFit athletes that were D1 gymnasts. So, you know, it kind of makes sense to have people that can do more than one things, because when injuries go differently, like we've seen this year with certain teams, you know, people need to step up. I know strong men that do CrossFit. It's all just fitness. Like, you know, we could put whatever name we want on it. We could put gymnast, we could put football player, you know, basketball player. We've spoken to a lot of different athletes. We don't really need to put anyone in whole. I just need.
Oh,
Oh, I think we lost.
okay, that time it was Sam and not me though, so I'm he's just so passionate that it just interrupts the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, we got intensity in the lines.
Oh,
Hey,
he's back. Oh, he's gone again. He's back.
Yeah, I'm back. Someone tried to call me. I thought I put on Do
Oh,
Not Disturb.
how
Yeah.
dare they?
Yeah.
We just thought you were so passionate that it just
Listen, I'm fired up, dude. I'm fired up. So like, listen,
yeah.
we're gonna find athletes that can do everything. Yes, I do think specialists, hyper specialists will come, and they'll come organically. They'll come by referral. They'll come by people that know people that will find a fitting. Um, you know, am I going to go to, you know, the university and find D1 gymnasts? Probably not. You know, if they're in sport, you know, they're probably not going to change sport right now. But I think the main focus is on finding players that can do multiple things.
yeah. I always love it. You know, I've said this many times. That kind of I really love it when, you know, you tag in the strong guy, he's running up to do the heavy barbell, and then the ref is saying, "Hold on, you've still got one of the, you know, ring muscle ups with a med ball that your team didn't finish," and you see them jump up and do it. And I'm like, that's great. And then they go and pick up the heavy barbell. You're like, that's a team that,
Mhm.
and also like, not only is that like cool to watch at home and kind of like, oh, did you see, you know, that big guy do that? But for the team, that's super beneficial, because the alternative is, okay, I've got to run back, tag in someone else. They've got to run out. They've got to do one movement, run back, tag me. Now I come there. So yes, having kind of people that can do more than just their strength is super useful across the board. It's intriguing, some of the skills that are being thrown out at the moment in some of these races, and I'm like, okay, you're good on your hands, but are you you know, shoulder taps, pirouettes, freestanding handstand push-up good on your hands, which is maybe a degree more. But I you know, I guess it will be interesting to see what happens when, you know, players that choose not to re-sign, maybe players that, you know, just see what you're doing and are like, hey, you know, I feel like a change, and I see this team that's passionate and you know, could be interesting to jump, you know, jump ship to a degree. Every season we see people swap over teams. There's nothing wrong, you know.
Yeah.
Go what you want, guys. Do what you want to do. It's fine.
I mean, I think that will happen kind of naturally, you know, as
Yeah.
it is convenient for to be able to practice and train with other people. I think that would be a big motivator for people, as we're going to have gyms all throughout the Northeast, kind of on our side. To be able to train with a fellow grid athlete, I think will be very valuable. You know, I know that there's grid athletes already throughout the Northeast, and we'll listen to anyone that wants to talk to us, you know, when the time is right.
So completely changing tack now.
Mhm.
Another thing that has, I mean, already I see it with your social media that you are kind of already on it. And it was interesting, particularly last season, seeing teams that started to, you know, hire someone to manage their social media. And you suddenly saw this like complete change on their page, and suddenly they were putting out these like really interesting posts, and they were getting stuff. And I feel like this season everybody's kind of up their game a little bit of like, we've got to make sure we've got engaging content, we've got to make sure and then kind of hand in hand with your social media presence and just your presence and people knowing you is, you know, sponsorship, finance, money, which has kind of been an issue over the years for teams. You know, it's like, yeah, we all want to go and do this event, but it costs money to go there, and it's tricky, and you know, and how are we going to afford to get all our team to Vegas for this, you know, one match kind of thing. What's that look like for you forming the team now? You know, have you already got ideas of like, okay, these are people we're going to approach for sponsorship, or this is how we're going to kind of incentivize players to, you know, not worry that they're not going to be able to afford to get to matches, things like that? I mean, without, you know, obviously going in maybe to secret specifics, but is that, I'm assuming it's something you're very aware of, considering kind of all the businesses and you know, things you manage already. But yeah, I mean,
yeah, I mean, just like with any business, right? You just want to make sure you're running as efficient as possible. And yes, everything is expensive, but I really believe that what I bring, one of my specialties is I'm able to, like, I see positive out of this. I see revitalization. I see, you know, just repurposing like this energy that is just so infectious. You don't have to, it's just getting the awareness out there, because this is a mission in itself that I have a business plan, and then I, you know, many ideas that I feel how I can, you know, make a change for that. I mean, there's so many ecosystems. There's so much change in the fitness industry at this point that, you know, you can do anything. You can do anything if you have that right mindset, right team, right business you know, sense, and it's unstoppable at that point. And I feel that that's what's happening right now. And it is your blood, sweat, and tears and putting everything in, but it's inevitable. You know, it's unstoppable. And with, like I said, with my extra, you know, awareness in having that televisions, I have, you know, a show called Back on Track. I've learned the business aspect of that whole part of it in media, and getting that awareness out there is just as important as, you know, as anything, because that's where we all get our information from. And so that's just one of the assets I'll be able to bring in my, you know, the old administration and the executive part of it.
And I suppose, you know, going back to sorry, Sam's point earlier about, you know, you're an owner, you're not a player, you're not a coach, you're not, you know, you're not even transitioning from that role to becoming an, you know, I am an owner and this is my job. And then the background that you have, it allows you to focus on, you know, the finances, to focus on those kind of things, and then, you know, use your time and energy and the skills that you obviously have outside of Grid to be like, right, I can put this in, as opposed to maybe an owner who is also coaching and is like, well, I need to, you know, go out and wrangle sponsors, but I also need to spend my time coaching my team. And if they're a player as well, they got to keep fit. So there's a number of, there's a number of, and there's only, you know, we all got the same 24 hours. So something's got to give, right? You've got to make some sacrifices. Does the fact that you're based in New York give you, you know, I mean, Sam said New York teams, they're big teams, you know, you've got a lot of, you get a lot of hype behind teams. Does that work in your favor, that you're going like, hey guys, we've got a, you know, there's this league, there's teams from all over, we've got the New York team, we want you to be involved, come on, you know, you want to support New York, right? Is that like, you know, I'm naive to it, I don't live there, but is that kind of a useful card that you can play?
Well, I would think so. Well, first, just disclaimer: I live in Florida, and I grew up in New York. My family's
End the call right now. Let's Sam.
We all end up in Florida eventually. Trust me.
If you ask me, I'm always there, by the way. But if you ask me, I would love to, you know, to be there long term. I also have a place upstate New York. So New York,
and you've got the accent, and that's all that matters, right? Like that's the key feature.
It's true. It's true. I know. It's so thick.
Just make sure it's a call. You never see them in person. Just do it on the phone, and then they'll
Yeah.
just have to believe you. Yeah. Okay. All right.
But you know, it's easy to cut. Like for the past 13 years, I've been in, you know, CrossFit gyms. I know many, just like Sam. I mean, Sam knows everybody out on Long Island. Just in my community, West Babylon, Suffolk County, Nassau County, I've just know so many people in gyms that, you know, if you're watching now, you know, get ready because we're coming to New York, because I'm so excited to bring this back. And there's just so many great athletes out there. Am I right, Sam?
It's not going to be hard to find good athletes.
I mean, I'd love to know names of people that are already reaching out, but I can't ask you that. I know you can't reveal your
You
secrets.
could ask whatever you want.
Okay, but you're not going to answer. Yeah. So
No, I'm not going to answer that
yeah,
question. I mean, I give away some information, but no, I got diamonds in the rough. I got gems
yeah.
that people know of that haven't heard of, and I'm not giving that information out now because otherwise someone's going to sign them to play this year.
I love that. Sam's like, I already told you who our coach is. Just, you know, that's
Yeah,
enough for you.
that up.
How much do you want?
I promise you'll be one of the first people to know.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, I guess then we won't go down specifics like that. My question would be then, what are the next steps for you? Like, you know, I'm assuming from everything I've heard so far, I imagine there is a PowerPoint presentation somewhere that is sort of this is the this is the plan. These are steps. What are the next steps? Like, what do you need to do? Kind of next couple of steps over the next couple of months. Let's not go too far ahead, but what is building this team looking like for you at the moment?
I mean, I don't have months. I can give you now. I can tell you what we're doing now.
Right.
You know, Jen is focusing on building this team up, supporting it financially, the business, putting so many people from an administrative standpoint, from a media standpoint, there to support. So honestly, I don't need to worry about that. I love getting involved and helping her with that, but she is surrounded with so many people that care about her. So they're also care about her projects. She does that. I build a team. And that looks like, I can tell you what that looks like in the short.
Yeah.
Me and Lexi are going to come up with tests. Maybe different than what the trials have been in the past. I think it's going to be very straightforward. A handful of tests, maybe a dozen to 15 tests. I have questions I like to ask athletes as they sign up. And um, this combine that I mentioned briefly before, this is going to be run on Conquest events. This is a site that I use to promote, to do the registration for my events. This is going to be a free combine. There's no cost for anyone. Anyone could participate. How you want to do one of the tests, you could do one. You want to do all the tests, do them all. This is going to go on from, I'm 99% sure that these dates are right, but from July 18th to August 15th. They have that amount of time to do the workouts. They can do them as many times as they want. I don't care. Film them, submit their scores, and it's going to go up. And, you know, it's just kind of like doing an online competition. Um, I'm not going to tell you that the best scores are the ones that automatically will be on the team. There's going to be multiple factors. We're going to talk to these athletes. We're going to judge their levels of commitment. And their character. And we're going to build the right recipe to have a cohesive team the first year. So by the end of August, I hope to have a base of our roster. And that's going to be a lot of rookies, a lot of people who've never stepped foot on the grid floor and don't understand what grid speed is. Um, and then we get into the free agency period and we try to surround them with positive, experienced veterans who are ready to step in and play whatever role is asked. Because these new guys, these rookies, will have the talent that they just need to be shown how to play grid. Um, you know, athletes are athletes. If you're versatile, you'll learn real quick. You know, I spoke to someone who's been doing CrossFit. She's been growing, and I said, "Can you do these aerials?" And she said, "Let me find out." And she sent me a video 20 minutes later of her doing two or three of them in a row. I was like, all right, cool. We'll talk soon. So these people are going to be versatile, and we just need to teach them and coach them into it. So that is all going to happen, you know, come September, come the end of season, come the finals, we're going to have a base of our team. We're not waiting. We're going to get to work right away.
Well, I mean, yeah, you're saying it's kicking off in July. I mean, that's soon. Like, they've got time to do it, but it starts pretty soon in kind of the grand scheme of things. I am thinking now I need to start scrolling through some athletes' stories and see if any CrossFit athletes I know are practicing aerials, and then I'll be like, oh, interesting. Okay, maybe that's a clue. So a bit of detective work to go on there. That is, and I mean, you're right about how quickly people learn, and I think like the Bandits is a great example. If you look at their first match to their second match, they tidied up a lot of mistakes that silly little things that they made in the first match that were just mistakes because you don't really know any better until you kind of are on the the wrong end of a fault, or you're standing in the wrong part of the grid, or whatever it may be. So
they shocked. Yeah, they definitely shocked the brigade really quickly. They came out hot, and I think the brigade was like, all right, let's tighten this up right now, and ended up being a fantastic match. I was just watching that one again today. Honestly, I think CrossFitters are the best athletes in the world. And that's my true, honest opinion. I know strongmen. I'm friends with strongmen. It's not easy for me to teach a strongman how to do CrossFit. Okay, it's not easy for me to teach a pure bodyweight specialist, gymnast, high rocks athlete to do, some of the stuff. But it's a lot easier to teach. Like I know this one guy who we're scouting, who I guess would be classified as a utility player, but I mean, he can do all the strongman stuff just as good as these guys and move fast with quality. I don't feel like I need to get 3 guys that just only do strongman. I think these CrossFit athletes, they're versatile and they're strong. I mean, these all these guys and girls I'm looking at are strong. They're all strong.
and I think sometimes as well, like, I mean, it comes down to the race ultimately as well, but at times it's going to be like, okay, this guy's stronger and he is going to be able to move that implement X amount of time faster. However, that implement is sitting in the 4th quadrant of the grid. So who gets there first? So maybe my athlete is, he's strong, not as strong, but he's got an extra, second or two with his hands on it before the other person even gets there. So like there are, there's other factors, I suppose, with a very strong utility player. I mean, one of the things, speaking to other teams and some of the other players, has always been a kind of, I don't know, Grid, you were listening, so let's see if you're still listening. Was some felt that maybe the weights needed to go up a bit for the top end weights, because the bodyweight guys, they really get to show off their skills, and they get some really kind of things that you're thinking, yeah, probably a utility player is going to struggle with that. Whereas at times, even the top end strength stuff, you're like, well, actually, a strong utility player can probably manage that weight quite well. So who knows?
Take a look at the what was it, week 1, where they had the log.
Yeah,
I think it was week 1. They had that log for two hand clean and jerks.
Yes.
Right. So that weight wasn't monstrous. No. You don't need to be the strongest man in the world. Literally, you don't need to be a strong man competitor to step up and whip that thing around. You need to be fast.
Yeah. Are you I've seen on your Instagram, Sam, you're an athlete yourself. You're in pretty good shape. Do you try any of these things out yourself? Are you thinking, I wonder if I can do burpees as fast as Jess, and then sort of
Listen, I'm just trying to be the fittest dad, like in my house.
Okay, that's good.
I always joke with my wife. I say I'm trying to be the fittest dad in my town, like make sure these other dads know, who's running shit. But yeah, I try them, and it typically leaves me with some sort of pain in my body. The complex on the bar, with the toasted bar, the chested bar, the bar muscle up. I was able to do it, but at a price. These things are hard. They're hard. I could do them, but listen, I'm 41. Like I got no business doing this stuff anymore, and I'm fine with that. Like I've had my time, and I was never an elite athlete, and I'm okay with that. But I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Like when we have these athletes here, I'm gonna try to earn their respect. Like I'm gonna try to jump in and show them, like, all right, at least I can lift this heavy thing up.
Yeah, I can do it once.
Yeah.
And slowly, but I can do it.
And then get the Motrin out. So then we'll be good.
That sounds matched. I don't know, does it?
Jen, I have a few final questions then about the team. Very cosmetic questions. Well, we started talking about the logo. I mean, on my screen, you're quite small, but is that the logo on your top now?
Yes.
Yes. Oh, awesome. So obviously
Get
you've got
close.
shirts.
Like get really close. Like give them a good chest shot.
Yes.
Look at that.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, hold that.
There we go.
There we go.
Wow.
Freeze that.
Yeah.
Tell them what, like there's meaning to this logo. You have to.
Yeah, it's very meaningful. Well, number one, it's based off my friend Barbara. She was a lieutenant and she's she's retired. But New York means so much to us. Obviously, as New Yorkers, I mean, everybody as a global impact got impacted by 9/11. But I really respect the service workers, the policemen, the firemen, everybody that does service. So I wanted to make sure this patch reflected that because, my friend believed in me in this grassroots, mission. And I want to resemble that. And I want to always remember that grit in that and that sacrifice that we have as athletes to be able to know that what you're representing is something much bigger than just a match. And that's what this means to me. So I really like that everyone means it. And obviously the wolf, to me, there's nothing more meaningful than having such a strong pack. But from someone that's always felt at one point in our life like a lone wolf, that's so not true. And building this pack is it's just, I don't know. It's like you were saying, a baby, you're exactly right. You put so much into it. And I'm just so excited to meet the family, the pack. And then this pack introduced to the amazing community pack that I've already been experiencing this whole year. It's just everybody gets, I don't know, it's just, it's good. I'll keep talking on and on and on.
But it's good. And I mean, it's a great logo. I mean, it's a great name for a team.
Yeah.
Wolves. It's a, you've not picked a sloth, you've picked a wolf.
Yeah.
Like that's great, right? That's what you need for grid. And actually, I hadn't even thought about the kind of pack mentality and that that's your team, right? That's your pack, that's the tribe, and like that's what you're taking to the grid. I'm curious as well then, because I feel like I've seen a mock-up. Do you even have like your uniform designs and things? Is that already kind of
no, is that yes and no, in that sense, in the exact uniform, but in my mind I have like visions. But we've had a concept uniform. Yes, that has, but nothing in the sense as final. But I think it's just good. The colors match perfect. I believe in the sense of us as unity. Like I even went down to looking at every single logo from every single team, and I just wanted to make sure that it was cohesive together.
Nice.
And dynamic and representative of what I've experienced since the very first time I've experienced grid. So
and what, it does matter. Like people notice, even if they pretend they don't. But like last season, Wild switched from being in the green to the red, and Gainesville to Atlanta, and like and they came out and everyone was like, oh man, the red looks so cool. Like, oh, the red that's really nice. And then this year when the Breakers showed up in white,
oh yeah,
like, guys, we've upped the game again. What's happening here? So so next year it's you. It's you guys have to show up and be like, this is the look for 2026, everybody. Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be sharp. Like, listen, everybody knows. I'm a Mets fan, but everyone knows the Yankees wear the pinstripes, and they stand out everywhere they go. Mm-hmm. And our colors and our logo is gonna represent us, and it's gonna be sharp.
That's true.
Lauren says she's excited for the Hangover Wolfpack quotes, so that will be coming up after.
You know what? I'm can't wait for those. Used to be a pack of one. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you need to get ahead of it. Like you should have that. You need to be kind of pre-meming as matches go on and like have them up.
That's it. I'm going to put it on my to-do list.
Just plan them for the next year or so. Just you're like, we're ready to go. Wow. I mean, it's really exciting to kind of. I haven't had the opportunity to speak to teams. She'd even buy a shirt to support you guys.
Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you, Lauren.
There you go. Yeah, that's all you need to do. You get all the other teams to start buying your merch as well, and then everybody just suddenly everybody's a wolf, and they're like, oh, we're all
I
in the
mean, I
wolves now.
tell you, people are excited up here about it. You know, they really they want to get behind this. I've had people reach out and recommend their friends for the team. I've had people just asking how they can get more information. You know, this is a big community up here that doesn't know about what the grid brings. And once you start to watch these matches, you're like, okay, I can get behind this as a fan.
Yeah.
So we're gonna bring the whole North down.
And I mean, it is that thing where you can, we've said this, when I was speaking with Mavo, different ones, like, you might love a CrossFit team, like a games team, but it's not really the team that you like, right? It's the two males and the two females, and like you're a big fan of one of them or two of them or whatever, and it's like that's the team you're following because of a specific athlete. Whereas this, it is a team, like this is proper kind of team sport team. So if you're up in New York and you're like, hey, that's my team, like who's on the team, it doesn't matter who's on the team, that's the team, like,
You're
and then
cheering
we
for the
find
you're
out
cheering for the
afterwards.
name on the front, not the
Yeah,
back.
exactly.
I
There you
like
go.
that. Not the back.
Okay, so Jen's taking notes now, right? That'll be that'll be the next slide we put out.
That's what this team's going to be about. You know,
Yeah.
it's going to be about the name on the front.
Nice, I like it. You've mentioned people have reached out, people have sort of nominated friends, acquaintances, fit people they've passed on the street that they think could be good at grid. If someone's watching this and like, actually, I've got friends up and around that area, they're pretty fit, or maybe even, maybe they're more specialist. Like, actually, I've got a friend who's what is the best way for people to, like, do you want people to reach out to you and say,
Sure,
hey, this is my friend? And if so, how do they do that?
Yeah, they can contact us at signup@newyorkwolves.org. Send an email. We'll get right back to you. Or you can just go to our website and find out more at wolfbackontrack.com. And then you could also go to the United Grid League too. So anyway.
And you could like and follow us at New York Wolves HQ. That's a big thing. You can reach out to us there. You can directly DM me as well. Whatever method, there's plenty of methods. If you make an attempt, you're going to get an answer pretty quick.
Yeah.
So you can DM me, you could DM the New York Wolves account. And that, listen, we're ready to hear from people. And that's people that are not signed with a good league team.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, I've
I'm
got a
not trying
friend,
to
they're
piss anyone.
so
I'm
good,
not
they're
pissing
so
anyone
good at
off.
grid. In fact, they're on another team, they're that good.
Right. So we're not going to piss anyone off. We're going to follow the rules. We don't want any problems with the new kids on the block. If you're on a good team, you got to wait until that free agency period. But we are going to hold a spot for veterans. So there'll be spots available. If you're a rookie, you can call me today.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea that there are so many ways that people can get in touch with you that it's almost like, if you can't, there is no way you can understand how grid works.
Yeah.
If you
all get the elements of being tough.
Yeah. So I can stand there, right? No, you can't stand there. You can't stand over there. Okay. Well, I'm excited to see the next steps. Keep in touch. Don't cut me off now, Sam. Just because you've given me one scoop, I need more.
I mean, listen, I get to plug things now, right?
Yeah. Plug anything you want. It's
Fight
up
for
to
the
you.
fittest, October 18th, 19th. Our individual spots are all sold out. Our pairs are all sold out, but we have spots for a team of 4. So there's a scaled, an RX, an elite division. So it's female, male, male, typical CrossFit teams of 4. And those athletes are going to compete Saturday and Sunday. So we still got some room for teams of 4. October 18th, 19th, that's at Suffolk Federal Credit Union Arena. You don't need to worry about rain or snow or wind. It's inside this giant arena, 60,000 square feet. Jen's going to be there. I'll be there running around like a crazy person. This is the biggest event besides, one that's going to be held upstate New York, but that's whatever. This is going to be the biggest event in the Northeast. This hands down quantity of athletes, quantity of spectators. This is going to be an awesome event.
Yeah. And this is not a new event. How long have you been running this event now?
So we've been running since 2020. This is our second year that we've moved it out of the gym space and into an arena because we couldn't fit everyone in the gym anymore. So we worked with the college, Suffolk Community College, and the space is incredible. It's huge. It's the size of a football field inside.
Mhm.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
if you're in and around the area and you've got some other fit friends, look at this as almost like a soft grid tryout. There you go. That's
Sure.
first sign up, do your bit there, and then maybe, if you bump into Sam or Jen, you can be like, hey, just
Yeah, I
did you
mean,
see
and also if
me?
you're
Did you see me on the floor? Because
and if you're interested, you want to give grid a shot, like you want to test the water, grid 6 is an awesome way to do that. So we got Vegas coming up early September, and there's a grid 6 time. And basically what that is that's 6 athletes, more of a learning atmosphere, or more of a RX supposedly elite. And that's a great way to come out, test your feet in the grid and see if this is something you like. And I think that you get pretty fired up about that. So that's got that local competition kind of feel, but on the big stage in a grid format.
Exactly. And then there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in September as well, because I qualify. I'm a master Olympic weightlifter, and I qualified for Worlds. So that's all in this one. Two ecosystems coming together is real exciting for me. So we get to show grid to even masters. They also have that A division, AA division, that it's all levels. So I think it'll be really neat if we can all come together and just have some fun in September, and just, it's going to be different. And we're also going to have music. It's just going to be a whole bunch of fun on top of awareness and community building. And then me competing for Worlds. So
just that, like, to the side. Oh, and also, competing for Worlds. Just casually drop that over the side. And I mean, people should be careful, because obviously it was that little taste of grid 6 that got you going, actually, I need a team. So maybe for them it'll be the same. That little taste will just be enough to get them to be like, you know what, I need to be on a team. And we know a team that is actively recruiting. That's exciting. All right, well, all the best with that then. You've got a busy period coming up, both of you. But I get the impression that it doesn't phase you, that you both seem pretty, it almost feels like you thrive on on being busy and challenged, and that's good, I guess. Yeah.
Gotta lean into it.
Gotta lean into it. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in the comments. There were a few I didn't even pull up. So, like, Corey was incredibly impressed with your hard work there, Jennifer, and the 170 pounds is, no easy feat. There were some other nice comments as well, but, people can go back and find them. Do that on your own time, people.
Thank you so much for having us.
That's all right. Thank you for putting up with the technical issues I had at the beginning. Didn't seem to be too big an issue, I hope, during the show. I look forward to trying to edit it back and be like, oh, actually, that's all the times I cut out. Okay. I should be back, everybody, next week. We're Wednesday today, aren't we? Yes, on Wednesday again. Maybe around the same time, actually. I will be joined by 2 grid players from different teams. Ooh. We should have Alyssa Martinez from the Breakers and Paula Les from the Lions. They train together when they're not competing against each other. So hopefully they will be on next week. And then, more of the same. So thank you, everybody, for watching. Thank you again to Jennifer. Thank you, Sam. And all the best in building this incredible rookie team, the New York Wolves.
Thank you, Jason.